Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and volcanic winters for 300,000 years. We like to think we are in control, but our survival often comes down to sheer luck rather than brilliant planning. Simple human errors, a faulty chip, a bad wire, a lost memo, have repeatedly brought civilization to the brink of absolute destruction. On October 25, 1962, during the peak of the Cuban Missile Crisis, a guard at an air defense center in Duluth, Minnesota, spotted a dark figure scaling the perimeter fence. Panicked, he fired shots and sounded the sabotage alarm. Due to a major wiring error, this triggered the wrong emergency siren at Volk Field, a nearby air base in Wisconsin. Instead of a local security alert, the pilots heard the signal for global nuclear war. Instructed to launch nuclear-armed interceptors, the pilots scrambled into their cockpits and started taxiing down the runway, fully believing a strike was underway. At the absolute last second, the base commander drove his staff car directly onto the runway, flashing his high beams to block the jets. Back in Duluth, the intruder was identified. It was not a Soviet saboteur. It was just a confused black bear climbing the fence. On June 3, 1980, National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski was awakened at 2:30 a.m. by a call from the Military Command Center. He was told the Soviet Union had launched 220 nuclear missiles at the U.S. Brzezinski prepared to wake President Jimmy Carter to launch an immediate counterattack before the weapons hit. Seconds later, a second call reported that 2,200 missiles were incoming. Bomber crews started their engines, and missile officers prepared their launch keys. Just before the final confirmation to fire, a third call arrived. Independent radar stations reported absolutely empty skies. Technicians checked the defense systems and found a single, broken integrated circuit chip inside a multiplexer computer. A faulty electronic part worth less than 50 cents had forced the entire United States military to prepare for the end of the world. Biological errors have been just as dangerous. In 1978, the world was close to completely wiping out smallpox. At the University of Birmingham in the UK, medical photographer Janet Parker worked in a darkroom located directly below a laboratory storing live smallpox strains. The lab had a defective ventilation system, allowing the virus to drift down into her workspace. Parker inhaled the particles and became infected. Because smallpox was considered nearly gone, local doctors failed to recognize it initially. She interacted with family and hospital staff, creating a massive containment crisis. An aggressive quarantine of over 500 people eventually contained the outbreak, but a basic oversight in room ventilation almost revived one of history's deadliest plagues. Even after the Cold War, the danger remained. On January 25, 1995, scientists launched a small research rocket off the coast of Norway to study the northern lights. Russian radar operators detected the flight, which looked identical to a U.S. Navy submarine-launched Trident nuclear missile aimed at blinding their radar systems. For the first time ever, the Russian nuclear briefcase was activated in front of President Boris Yeltsin. With only minutes to decide on a catastrophic retaliatory strike, Yeltsin watched the monitors. Fortunately, the rocket eventually headed out to sea. Norway had actually sent a warning memo to 30 nations weeks prior. But a bureaucratic error inside the Russian Ministry of Defense meant the notification was simply misplaced on a desk and never reached the operators. These close calls reveal how fragile civilization remains. We assemble massive, high-stakes systems, and assume they cannot fail. Yet every system relies on flawed humans who miswire electronics, drop paperwork, and mistake local wildlife for military threats. Survival is not proof of a perfect design. It is just proof that our luck has not run out yet.